Good morning, everyone. Thomas Fleming here. Well, I'm not going to get out on my hike right now. It's still cold. After the last video and seeing how much the sun was causing havoc, I'm going to go ahead and make my videos here in my camp and not go out on a walk. But it's still cold. So when I get done, I can just go right back into my tent that I've got a heater running in right now. This is May. We shouldn't be in the 40s in the morning, in the low 40s. But there's a great big circulation that's just going around, pulling all that snow from you guys up north who live in the snow. And you've gotten snow recently. Again, this is May. And then they're saying that there's going to be a big front there on the east coast and one on the west coast. And right in the middle, there's going to be a big wall. And it's going to direct everything south, where I'm at. All right. It's the end times. Things are crazy. Get used to it. Okay. How many of you remember when you became a Christian? You were all excited and should be. We had the advantage of, from a Christian point of view, of being a little bit like Adam and Eve early in the garden before they sinned, before they ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. They didn't really know evil. We didn't really know evil as Christians. Most people. I mean, some people, you're going to grow up and you're going to have people that are mistreated and kids that are mistreated. I'm not talking about it. On an average, the way people are, especially in the times before these end times, it was a fairly nice place. Some places, some towns, they'd leave their cars unlocked, their front doors unlocked. Nowadays, I don't leave anything visible out, and I don't ever go without locking my car. But as kids, little kids, they're under the protection of parents. They think everything's fine. Under the protection of God, Christians, new Christians, are out there and they're doing their thing. They're trying to witness. They're all excited. They haven't been tainted yet by the world. That's the way God wants us to be all the time, even now. It's like, but I've seen people out there that are so bad, witnessing to them is a waste of time. We're told to go to everybody. So we've got to figure out how to maintain that level of naivety. I don't know how you can get it back. It's like one of the comedians goes, I'm tired of this life. I'm going back to being a virgin. You can't reverse things sometimes. But God can help us through forgiveness and through grace to move forward. So let's try to keep that childlike excitement. It will help you in your walk with God, trying to talk to people. Because the people that are out there, they're so burdened down by the world. When they see somebody who's full of excitement, they're going to want to know where that came from. They're going to want it back. Because they remember, everybody remembers as kids how they used to play without any fear of the world or anything. So the world wants that, even though they carry off on all this other stuff that's going on. Satan's tainted the world, but everybody wants to be like a kid. That's a woodpecker. I don't know, if I was hitting my head against, a beak against the tree, I think I'd give myself a headache. Okay, let's see where we're at. Okay, my joke about kids, and I tell people that have a new baby. You start off teaching them to walk and talk, and then pretty soon you're telling them to shut up and sit down. They all develop and then get very independent. And anybody who's had teenagers in the house, they become so independent that you can't wait for them to move out. I mean, if they were not a pain to deal with, you wouldn't ever want them to leave. But they have to. They have to get out in the world and make their way. That woodpecker's going to be up there the whole time, I guess. But it helps to get them out of the nest, so to speak, by being that way. And we never want to see them go and never come back, but we want to get them out and start developing and learning things on their own, learning how to take care of themselves, how to pay for things themselves. They're going to fail. We're going to help them. God helps his children, us. We're going to help our children. I'm looking forward to my son being here in a couple of days. Let's see, as I'm making this is May 4th. They've coined it Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. That was an interesting look at the world. Yeah, there is a good and an evil force. But they made them look like they were almost equal. And in real life, the magnitude of the bad force is here. The magnitude of the good force is, I can't reach high enough. They're not like this, back and forth. In fact, this force over here from the devil can't even function unless God permits them to function. So don't worry about it. So we want to be like kids. We want to end up walking through this life with excitement, gleam in our eyes, fun doing what we're doing. We play games, you know. Nowadays they're playing games on their phones or on their computers, but they're still playing games. And they may be in their 30s in their parents' basement playing games, but they're still playing games. We never want to grow up, because growing up means we got responsibility. And we've all had that if we're adults, plenty of responsibility. We can lessen that by not following the world. So let's take a look at what it's like to be a kid in this world. God's instructions on how to treat kids in this world will help us learn how to be one. I'm in Proverbs 1:8. My son, hear the instruction of your father, and do not forsake the law of your mother. So we've got parents, but with our God, he's both father and mother to us from that point of view. For they will be a graceful ornament on your head. My son, if sinners entice you, do not consent. If they say, come with us, let us lie in wait to shed blood. Let us lurk secretly in the innocent without cause. Let us swallow them alive like Sheol and whole like those who go down to the pit. We shall find all kinds of precious possessions. We shall fill our houses with spoil. Cast in your lots among us and let us have one purse. There will be people out there like that. My son, do not walk in the way with them. Keep your foot from their path, for their feet run to evil, and they will make haste to shed blood. So basically, from our Father to us, we are to stay away from people that are bad. Before we were a Christian, we may have a whole bunch of friends that were not good. They go out partying, drinking, doing drugs, whatever it is they're doing. You're going to need new friends. Now, you can still kind of keep them off at the distance so you can witness to them, but you need new people to hang out with. Keep that childlike attitude. Okay, going to turn to, where is it? Isaiah. I know I marked it. There's another Proverbs. Isaiah 54. 54:13. All your children shall be taught by the Lord, and great shall be the peace of your children. If we're taught by God, we will have peace. In righteousness you shall be established, and you shall be far from oppression, for you shall not fear. And from terror, for you shall not, it shall not come near you. God will protect so that we can continue to be childlike. Back to Proverbs again, 22:6. Train up your child in the way he should go. You should know this one. And when he is old, he will not depart from it. When the kids get out of the nest, they may wander off. They may get into trouble initially. But if you trained them right, every time they get into trouble, they're going to remember, I was told that if I did this, it would be trouble. And they will learn. And they will get right back to it. Okay, now we're going to go to Psalms. Back up a book. 127:3. Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord. The fruit of the womb is a reward. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior, so are children of one's youth. You have children when you're young because you need to be able to keep up with them. I had the difficulty growing up that my father was a lot older. I was his second family. And so he was in his 50s when I was growing up early on. And he couldn't do a lot of things. He's may have been an ex-baseball player, but I don't really remember throwing the ball with him very much. I just got a couple of glimpses in my memory. So you want to be able to have children when you're young so that they can play with you and you can play with them. Happy is a man who has his quiver full of them. They shall not be ashamed, but shall speak with their enemies in the gate. Okay, let's go now to modern times relatively. We're going to go into the New Testament. And we're going to go to Matthew 18:6. God warns how to take care of children properly. Whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him if a millstone were hung around his neck and he were drowned in the depth of the sea. Woe to the world because of offenses, for offenses must come, but woe to the man by whom the offenses come. For those that are trying to destroy children through this sexual thing that they're doing, and I'm not going to go any more than that so I don't get filtered. You know what's happening. Woe to them. They're better off to have a millstone around their neck. And it's continuing. We're resisting, but it's continuing. Mark 9:36. Then he took a little child and set him in the midst of them, and when he had taken him in his arms, he said to them, whoever receives one of these little children in my name receives me. The importance of children to God. If you receive a child in his name, you're receiving Jesus. And whoever receives me receives not me, but him who sent me, God. So that's the importance that Jesus, and that was Jesus speaking and doing that. Let's turn now to Ephesians 6:4. And you fathers, do not provoke your children to wrath, but bring them up in the training and admonition of the Lord. Children should be raised on this book and not as a weapon. There should be punishment. Children need barriers. They need limits. And children that grow up without limits grow up and become adults without limits. That's why the government's come into school systems and basically said, you can't do anything. When my wife was working in daycare with the kids, she wanted to be with the kids, so she got a job at daycare. They were doing fine for a long time until they took money from the government. There's no such thing as a free lunch from the government, our evil government. The government then came in and said, well, now that you've taken money from us, now here's the rules that you got to have. And the rules were, you can no longer teach these children. You are babysitters. That's all you are. You can give them a blank piece of paper and don't help them to draw anything. They used to give them coloring book pages so they'd learn to follow inside the lines and teach them stuff. They couldn't do that, just a blank piece of paper and no guidance. If there was a fight going on, you can't interfere. This is the government. The government is never here to help. The government is here to destroy, because the government is a tool of Satan. Right now in our current government, on both sides, there are members of our 30-20, reverse the numbers, group. They're alumni. They've gone to school to learn how to overthrow the government. And there are members on both sides. There are people all around the world placed in government, in countries all around the world. You think the rioting in France is natural? It's not. All the stuff going on around the world is because of this. They can topple the governments and they can come in. Everything is marching towards the end, which is the tribulation. We're not there yet. But we've got to be sure to follow along with this study. We've got to be sure that we don't get tainted by this. Don't let it depress you. Don't let it get you down. Don't let it defeat you. Stand up to it. Stand up to the devil and he will flee. Now, that doesn't mean he's not going to get in the way. Our woodpecker's going. He will try to trip you up. Pay attention. But if you go along in blind faith, trusting God in everything you're doing, God will clear out the path in front of you. You don't have to worry about it as much. If you're doing it on your own, good luck, because Satan will have better access to you. You don't want to go anywhere without the armor of God. And if you look at what the armor is, it's all part of God. Faith, knowledge of the Bible. The Word of God is your sword. These are all things from God. If you go out without that armor, you're in trouble. But if you go out with the armor, you can play like a kid. And Satan can't get to you. But keep your eye on Jesus at all times. Pray without ceasing, it says. You can't go out and do anything without prayer. Like I said in the beginning, we're to go out into the world as little children, but not on our own. You wouldn't send a 5-year-old out on the street, go out, here's $20, have fun. You go with them. And if you were in a dangerous area, near a street corner or something, about ready to cross the street, you'd hold their hand and walk them across the street. You wouldn't put a little kid on an airplane and say, here, Go visit Grandma in St. Louis if you're someplace else. Now, children have been known to travel by themselves, but you make arrangements with the airlines, and there's somebody there to get them on the plane and to take them off the plane. Planes are, almost the safest thing that you can do to travel nowadays. When's the last time you heard of a plane crash? They're very rare. So you could put a kid on a plane, but you're going to be an adult, put them on it, make sure you walk them up and they check in and they walk down the gangplank to get in the plane, and someone to receive them on the other end. And then they're going to know that they're traveling alone, just in case they get next to somebody. It would be nice if you would meet somebody on the plane that you know is going to be next to them or whatever, but you can do these things. But you would never let them go on their own, just drop them off at the curb, say, have fun. You'd never do that. Well, God's not going to do that either. To God, we are little children. I don't care if, like me, I'm almost 69 in a couple of days. I'm still a kid to God, and I still play games. Now, I may play solitaire or something like that, but I play games. And they're still fun. And I don't care how old I am. I may feel my body failing me, but mentally, we're still young at heart. And that's where we got to stay. Don't let the mileage do a damage on you. You can be happy in any situation. And the happiness comes from the spirit that we have inside of us. If we're truly Christians and not faking it, if we really are Christians, we've got so many tools at our disposal that we don't even have to think about them as long as we follow the rules. Pray starting in the morning, pray in the evening. Pray without ceasing during the day, but have a quiet time prayer in the morning and a quiet time prayer in the evening. Start your day with God. And then just be happy about it. Situations happen. Get a flat tire? Oh well, I'll get out and fix the flat tire. And if you can't fix the flat tire, you flag down somebody who can, or you get on your phone. We've got resources that previous generations didn't have. Don't look at a problem as a problem, look at it as an opportunity. Maybe you're going to get to witness to the tow truck driver or to the cop that comes over to ask if you need assistance. I've seen cops changing tires for people that don't know how to do that. The world doesn't have to be scary. To little children, certain parts of the world are, so they stay close to home, which is what we're supposed to do too, stay close to God. But then the world is not scary. Now the devil, he tries to take things which are fun and make them scary. We have clowns that make children laugh. So what do? We get a scary movie where the clown is the bad guy. What do? You just try to avoid stuff like that. But you can't completely. You're going to see stuff. You're going to deal with people that are ultimately evil and not going to be, their names aren't in the book of life. You're going to deal with people like that. Just walk away. Don't cause a ruckus. We're supposed to gently, with the childlike gleam in our eyes, tell people about God. It's a simple life. You can do other things. You can have jobs that pay money. Some will get into the ministry, and that will be their job. But don't let that get you down either. Sometimes you don't get away from work, it seems like. But if you're really, truly called to that kind of a ministry, then you're going to enjoy doing it. Any work you do that you enjoy doing is not work. So if you're not happy with your work, figure out what you really enjoy doing. If you're in a hole, dig yourself out, financially, and then do the job that you enjoy doing. You could even start doing the job you enjoy doing on the side. So that way, when you finally get to that transition, you're already established. We need to be happy all the time, even if we're dealing with some personal issues. Be happy. Be as a little child and treat everybody who deserve it like little children. And I say who deserve it because, like I said before, you will run into bad people. Treat them gently and just walk away. But somebody who is receptive, wants to hear about God, talk to them like a child. If they've never heard about God, this can be milk or meat, we're told. Sometimes you can't handle the meat when you're a new Christian. You got to feed them milk. That's normal. Adults aren't designed to drink milk. There are so many people that are lactose intolerant, like me. That's all right. I drink the fake stuff. Almond milk. Because there's a lot of things out there that are designed to have milk on them. I had a bowl of cereal this morning. We don't have to accept the world as it is. Create your little utopia around you and carry it with you. And people will see that and want to be part of it. All right, I'm going to drop in a little bit of video at the end to show you what my campsite looks like now as I get ready for my son to arrive in a couple of days. Keep him in prayers for travel mercies that he gets back without any incidents. For those of you that know me and him, he had problems the first time he went over there getting back. He was ready to fly back and got COVID and had to stay 10 more days. Yeah. So hopefully, I think COVID is over, but pray that he has no issues coming back. I'll pick him up and get him back here. I've still got to make a run to my storage unit, which I might do today. I've got a couple more days. It's coming back on the 7th. I guess I could go on the same day, but I'd rather get everything set up and not have to think about it. I've got my list of things I've got to get. There's not a big list. I pretty much have everything. He's got his tent and everything. I'll show you. All right, let me wrap this up and then I'll switch to the other direction. Till we meet in the clouds. It's got to be soon. The 5th is a high watch period. Our second Passover. We're basically, I think, pretty much every day this year we're on a high watch. So if it doesn't happen tomorrow, keep looking, keep ready, keep working as a child. Till we meet in the clouds, God. Okay, well, this is the campsite as I come into it. I've got my big tent here, and this is almost the same size tent. It's a little bit smaller, but not by much. And that's my son's tent. There's where I did my study that you just watched. Fire ring ready for a fire. And this is it. I've got all these little solar powered lights which are not on right now because the sun's up. Look out here. You see the little white square thing out there? That's my antenna. It's out on the road because that road is north-south pretty much. And the antenna has to point north. I've got a tarp over mine it helps with the rain. The zippers on the tent meet in that corner and it can drip water through that corner. not a good design for that, but it's not that bad. I put one paper towel down and it's okay. Sometimes when you hear cars go by, they're on that road. Right across from me is that gate over there. That gate goes to the raised platform camping. They've got wooden platforms over there that I've never seen flood, but it can flood back in there. And I'm just going to walk you out so you can see what I do when I go down to the river. There's my antenna. This gate here gets closed at dusk. And that road down there, right around the corner, is a big parking lot. And the river is right next to it. So the river's on the other side of those trees, about 50 yards. I walk down there and sit at the side, at the swing there. You've seen me do many videos there. And the road going out. Beautiful sky. It's still cold. I don't think it's in the 50s yet. Get the smell of these honeysuckles up on this tree. Get out and enjoy this. It's not going to be around much longer. Blessings.